Hello, my name is Alejandro. I'm sure you've all have had the same situation where we're stuck at home and there's really nothing to do. We're sitting in front of our screens for a long amount of time. We often don't really get off of our seats that often. School nowadays has a different meaning. Whereas before, we used to walk around campus, going from class to class, and even getting some exercise in. Well, not anymore. I'm here to talk to you about the benefits of daily exercise. Since we all may have space in our homes, a living room here or there where we can stretch, get some cardio in, or even get a good workout, I'm here to explain those benefits. In okay, in an article from the oh my goodness. Okay, let me start over again. So for daily exercise, it can benefit people of all types. More specifically, in this specific instance, it can benefit people with type 1 diabetes. In an article from the Journal of Behavioral Medicine by Eugene Lee Tracy, he stated that they ran an experiment with type 1 diabetic patients, and they had daily exercise routines of 30 minutes to an hour each, and they did this over a 3-week period. They tested the diabetic patients after they were done, and they came up with a net average of all patients that they had a lower blood glucose level of 70 milligrams, which is normally would be at 180. So it was almost 110 milligram difference. This is a substantial benefit for most diabetic patients, as it lowers the risk of heart attacks and heart disease, and also lessens the toll that your heart takes when having to deal with such high blood glucose levels. Now, this is great for diabetic patients, but not everyone is going to have that situation where they are in need of that help. Well, in a more relatable sense, there is an article from NewsRx Health and Science. They ran a experiment too for a period of 1 year on a class of elementary school kids. They had them document the children who worked out for at least 30 minutes a day, whether it be running outside, playing, or playing sports. They they concluded that it was a 9 to 13% decrease in overall overweight children in the entire class. Now, I can speak from personal experience that this is a huge benefit, as being a little overweight while you're younger can yield future problems when you start to grow older, such as having joint pains in crucial joint areas like your ankles, knees, or even your spine. You start to develop more lower back problems, as I have in the past. Not only this, but I think we can all agree that kids can be a little cruel at times. And being overweight opens up to those kind of emotional issues where you could be open to bullying, any other types of harassment that generally is not fun. And I can also speak from experience too that it's not the greatest. And being able to exercise daily nearly almost eliminates that risk. Now, we've looked at two sides of this speech here. We have the benefits from the diabetic patients, which is great. And we have the other side where we have the benefits of younger kids, which is also great. But what about for the people who don't fit in those categories? Well, I I have a article here from the International Journal of Cardiology, as stated by Laura Gonzalez Salas, a researcher there, that she documented normal people didn't really have any problems to begin with. They were around 18 to 22 years of age, and she documented the results of having them work out for almost an hour at a time for about 2 months. After her conclusions in her data, she concluded that having daily exercises greatly increases the strength of your skeletal muscle system, as well as increasing muscle power and oxygen intake. The big benefit to this is that having a stronger skeletal muscle system has the benefit of decreasing increased risk of PAH, or pulmonary arterial hypertension. This is a condition where in the arteries, you're going to have higher blood pressure than normal. And much like a diabetic, this could have strains on your heart where you would feel it later down the line that you're not going to feel as well, and it will lower your life expectancy. So being able to exercise and eliminate this risk is a huge benefit to them too. In conclusion, I have stated the benefits of daily exercise to a variety of people, whether it be diabetics, the younger audience, or even normal average. So I will leave you with this. Well, it sucks. I'm sure we're all aware that we'd rather be doing something else than sitting at our screens most of the time. We all have a goal in mind for ourselves, where it could be physical, it could be even be spiritual if we're into that. Well, this is the first step to taking that goal. If you ever feel like you can't do anything, you don't feel you're strong enough, if you ever want to improve yourself, this is the first step you take. Thank you for listening to my speech.
Street, minding my own business without a care in the world, when suddenly a black cloud of smoke appears to be following me. I smell a stench of smoke reaching into my nostrils, so I walk faster and faster. The cloud accelerates towards me. I start to run, but the cloud overtakes me and the smoke consumes me with thick, nauseous abomination, which leaves me coughing, stumbling, and wheezing. And I start to realize that I cannot breathe, and I fall helplessly under the weight of the cloud. This fact is the fate of many teens today. According to the American Lung Association, if current tobacco use patterns persist, an estimated 5.6 million of today's youth under the age of 18 eventually will die prematurely from a smoking-related disease. Many teenagers think it is a cool thing to smoke, but what they do not realize is that they are not only putting themselves in danger, but the people around them as well. In this speech, I intend to give you facts about the evidence of not only first-hand smokers, but second-hand smoke as well. Also, I will give you strategies to prevent smoking addiction in teens from happening. Additionally, I will tell you the effects and diseases related to smoking and explain the vulnerability of teens to fall into the pattern of addiction. Secondly, I will explain how secondhand smoke can be more dangerous than smoking. And last, I will talk about ways to prevent teen smoking from actually getting started to begin with. Smoking has always been a temptation for many young people. According to the CDC, tobacco product use is established primarily during adolescence. Flavors in tobacco products draw young people into addiction. It is a novelty and appealing to teens. Lung disease and lung cancer are the obvious diseases that occur because of smoking, but there are many other diseases that are related as well. According to a website called Mayo Clinic, since most people begin smoking during childhood or as a teen, the younger you begin smoking, the greater you become, the greater the chance you become addicted will be. Besides the vulnerability of youth to succumb to this addiction, there's the additional danger of secondhand smoke to consider. Some important points that most people don't know are, in most cases, the American Cancer Society states secondhand smoke is more dangerous than smoking itself because it contains the combination of the burning ends of tobacco and the smoke exhaled from the lungs as well. Exposure to secondhand smoke can produce cancer in young people and babies without being in direct exposure to the product. And it's because of these reasons that smoking is banned in most workplaces in the United States and in just general areas. Now, you could see how dangerous smoking can be to teens, including secondhand smoke. So now let's talk about some ways that we can resolve addiction before it even begins. The Mayo Clinic states that teen smoking is more common among teens where parents smoke first. With that being said, parents should set a good example and also ask their doctors about ways to stop smoking, not only for themselves, but for their children, of course. Teens may smoke because they think it is cool, like I said previously, and they also think that it's smart in some ways, but parents can veto this way of thinking by intervening at the earliest time possible, which actually has a way higher impact on their teens than they actually realize. Some teens justify vaping and e-cigarettes because they think they will not put them in danger, but that is not the case. Even though it may seem less harmful than cigarettes in some ways, they still carry health risks and could lead to an addiction. Concluding my discussion regarding its harmful effects for teens, my first point vividly described the vulnerability of youth who had been drawn into the smoking arena and how their actions threaten their health and their lives. Second, I discussed the often overlooked facts about secondhand smoke and its devastating effects. Lastly, I brought to you ways to appeal to children and teens on how not to fall victim to it. Teens probably will never ponder on the fact that a great big cloud of smoke may come for them. But if teens don't wise up to the dangers of smoking, they can become trapped by the cloud and it will chase them down, possibly for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
All right, so my name is Isaiah Hill, and today I'm going to be talking about how sleep affects health. So did you guys know that 9 hours of sleep can increase one's speed by 5%? As a current athlete, I know the appropriate amount of sleep affects my body. Last year at the University of Tulsa, while I was playing basketball, I got an average of 5 to 6 hours of sleep every night, and my numbers decreased tremendously due to the lack of sleep. My focus levels were very low, and it was hard to perform at a high level during competition. I think this is a very interesting topic because we don't realize how important sleep is. Even though everybody loves it, we somehow, as humans and as a society, we don't find enough time to get that in our schedules. And it just helps with the mental and physical state from our bodies. And in this speech, I'm going to give you guys more information about how sleep is important for both the physical state and mental state. So first, I'm gonna go over how it can affect performance for athletes. So what these are the perks of what an extra 2 hours of sleep can help boost. So first, it's faster reaction time. So on the court or on the field, whatever you're doing, your reaction times will be quicker and you'll be more alert during competition. It boosts speed by 5%, like I had said. And then it also boosts accuracy by 9%. So you'll see, like in basketball, people's free throws percentages go up, or 3-point percentages or anything from the field, their percentages go up due to the amount of sleep they get. And I think that's really cool because you don't think about that. You just think about perfecting your craft on the court. And then with 9 hours of sleep, it can help boost intensity. So, of course, you need energy for your workouts to get better. So you'll be able to maximize those workouts if you get the proper amount of sleep. Along with physical strength, it affects your mental state as well. So, yeah, that's that. Okay, so now that I talked about the perks of sleep corresponding with athletic performance, I will now show you guys how it affects the mental health in the day-to-day life. Okay, so sleep disorders and mental health, they go hand in hand basically. So like say one has a sleep disorder, then they're more likely to come across a mental health disorder. And lack of sleep can impair thinking and it can affect your emotional regulation. So when you're not getting the right amount of sleep, it's almost like last year we had a doctor come in for basketball, and she had brought us these drunk goggles, and basically like if you lack sleep, it's almost like you're a hungover drunk. So like that's just like that shows you the importance of what sleep can do for you. And then sleep problems can put one at higher risk of developing mental illnesses, like I said. And most of the time, when we don't get enough sleep, we don't hit all 3 cycles of our sleep. So there's the REM sleep, the REM. I don't know where that is. There's 2 other categories, but I cannot seem to find them right now. But yeah, so there's supposed to be 3 levels of sleep that you're supposed to hit during the night. So now I'm going to talk about like ways that you can kind of improve your sleeping schedules, like just some tips that someone could do. One good thing is to set aside at least 8 hours of sleep. So whatever you're doing with your day, you should always have a steady time, and you should be able to set aside 8 hours. And you should always be consistent on what time you go to bed and what time you let your body wake up. So whether that means the first 2-3 weeks you have to set an alarm and then your body gets used to it, but you should consistently do that regardless of what's going on. And then you should also limit daytime naps, because I know personally, when I take a nap, I seem to stay up longer at night and I can't go to sleep. So if you do take daytime naps, if you can limit them to 15 to 30 minutes at most, that's a solid nap during the day, because of course we're tired during the day as well. And then daily exercise. If you can just exercise every day, get your body tired, so when it's time to rest and when it's time to lay down, your body's ready to go to bed and it's not having anything disrupting it. Also, like people who smoke nicotine, drinking alcohol, all those type of things, it affects the sleep schedule as well. It affects the brain stimulation, and it makes you think that it's not time to go to bed when it really is. All right, so in conclusion, I showed how lack of sleep can impact the peak performance of an athlete and the importance of what sleep means to an athlete. So I think that's very important for, I don't know if you guys play sports, but even regardless if you don't, sleep is important in the workforce. Just everything. You see people who don't get enough sleep, who work steady jobs. They're grumpy, they're tired. Sometimes their marriages fall apart, all because of one little thing of sleep that can easily be fixed if you just stay consistent with a consistent schedule. And then I discussed, lastly, I gave the pointers on how we can improve their schedules. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. My informative speech is about stress and depression. Stress and depression is mostly overlooked by people. They just think, oh, this person's sad. Why is that important? Oh, this person's stressed out. Why is that important? They're going to recover like nothing, right? No, that's wrong. What people don't realize is depression and stress should be taken seriously. And this is why. When I was doing research on, I wanted to do a quote, and I found this quote from Quote Ambition. It was written by Miss Chris Carr. She wrote, "If you don't think your anxiety, depression, sadness, and stress impact your physical health, think again. All these emotions trigger chemical reactions in your body, which can lead to inflammation and a weakened immune system. Learn how to cope, sweet friend. There will always be dark days." That was really motivating. Seeing people have stress and depression has given me a new perspective that not everybody is happy, and sometimes they do not seek help from others. People who suffer from depression or stress should be taken seriously because it has led to many deaths and complications because they don't want to do anything about it. In this speech, I plan to give you more information about depression or stress and explain why they need to be taken seriously. The depression is affecting people's emotions and their state of mind. The different ways in which stress can change a person's behavior, thoughts, and feelings towards others. How to get rid of a person's stress or depression problems. Let me first tell you about the different physical and mental problems that come from having stress and depression. There are three major ways that depression can change a person. First, untreated depression can lead to certain addictions like alcohol and drugs, and I that can be backed up with a quote I found in WebMD that stated, "Untreated depression increases the chance of risky behaviors such as drug or alcohol addictions." When people are depressed, they do their best to hide it from others and pretend they are happy when in reality they are not. They don't do anything about it, which they should have. Third, there is more to it when it comes to depression because when people have it, they tend to not talk to others, which results in people taking the easy route, which is ending their own life because they think it's simple, like no one's gonna matter. They don't really care about me in their mind. Now that I talked about the many major issues with low depression, with how depression can change a person, let's move on to the issue that there are different ways of how stress can change a person's behavior, thoughts, and feeling towards others. There are several impacts in which stress can change people's behavior, thoughts, and feeling towards others. Stress can cause a person to become more aggressive, which could lead to major issues and altercations with other people. According to helpguide.org, but beyond a certain point, stress stops being helpful and starts causing major damage to your health, mood, productivity, relationships, and your quality of life. When stress consumes your human body, you tend to have different emotions, which results in changing your mood swings from time to time and affects your personality, which makes people see you differently in a bad way. I have just discussed the different ways of why depression, depression and stress should not be overlooked by people, but why it should be taken seriously. So now I will tell you the many ways on what you need to do to help people get rid of their stress and depression problems. How to help people get rid of their stress and depression problems. According to Healthline, depression can make it much more difficult to control or cope with stressors. But seeking counseling or therapy or taking medication can allow you to better confront these stressors and deal with them in a positive, constructive way. To help solve your stress problems, you could do a hobby that, let's say, just do a hobby that has less stress worried about it, something that you're able to do for free, no stress problem, that you wouldn't have to be worried about stress. Something light, something lenient. Finally, the thing you could do to overcome your depression is to talk to someone about your problems. It could be a best friend, your family member, someone that cares about you. They will make a difference in helping you instead of doing something dangerous to yourself. In conclusion, these are the reasons why people should take depression and stress more seriously because it's no laughing matter. Because many people see and say, "Oh, what's going on with them? Who cares?" No, it's not a joke. You should help out people. You could save many lives by doing this. First, I told you the struggles of how people deal with depression. Next, I discussed different ways in which stress can affect a person. Lastly, I talked about how you can get the help of getting rid of depression and stress before it gets worse. I would like to leave you with the simple conclusion to the speech. Do not forget people. Do not forget people who suffer from these illnesses are very important. If you see someone you know who has it, please reach out to them and help them out. They are very important. Thank you.